faculty, Öykü Hanım, I want to welcome you, and I want to welcome also all the other participants today. Today Elçin Hocam will be moderating our talk, so I'm giving her the word. Thank you very much, Elçin Hocam.
Elif Hocam, thank you very much. Dear professors, dear members of the Faculty of Architecture and Design, dear guests, dear students, welcome to the fifth of our ArchiDesign Talks. This evening we have a very special guest. Of course, all of our guests are very special, but Öykü is special because she's one of our graduates. She graduated from our department in 2014. That means 7 years passed after your graduation. It is, in my opinion, it is still very close to the time of being graduated. So I believe that your experiences, your explanations about the works that you realized up to now are really very important for, especially for our students who are close to their graduation. I know that you also graduated from the master's degree of Istanbul Technical University, and the title of the speech, the presentation that you are going to give us, is about UXUI design. That is a newly arised field of industrial designers who are very much interested to work in. So I would like to give the words to you, dear Öykü. Tell us how you spent the last 7 years and what are you doing? What are your projects that you want to share with us?
Okay. Hello, everyone. First of all, Elçin Hocam, I would like to thank you for your invitation. I'm very happy that today I will give a presentation at Bahçeşehir University, where I graduated from. And I'm very excited that I will give a presentation in front of my professors right now. So thank you again. This is my first presentation about my experiences, my projects. That's why I was a little nervous, excited before I started to prepare my presentation. Because today I would like to give useful information for our students who are the future designers, prospect designers. And I checked different sources about, I checked different sources about the key points of an impressive presentation. And I saw some common points. They all were telling the same thing, basically same thing. They were telling that you should prepare something very interesting, very attractive. You should catch people's attention. You should make people listen to your presentation until the last minute. And it is told as the hardest part for a speaker, because today people, especially the new generation, lose their attention, lose their focus very quickly. The first distraction is our mobile devices. We have very strong connection with our mobile phones. It's like an addiction. We check them very frequently. It's almost impossible to keep a young person away from his or her phone. So this is the fact today. So I didn't want to take the risk of losing your attention, and I prepared my presentation in a mobile application format. So if you have an addiction of seeing your mobile screen, or if you need to check your mobile phone 100 times a day, don't worry, you will be watching a mobile screen right now in my presentation. So I will start sharing my screen. And okay, now you will be seeing a mobile screen. First of all, before start my presentation, I would like you to write your opinion about UX and UI design. You can write, I think you can write it right down in the chat box.
Yes, they can write.
Yes. Okay, you can write it. There's no right or wrong answer. I just want to compare your initial ideas and final ideas after my presentation. I just want to compare both initial and final thoughts. What is UX design and what is UI design? I think you can also raise your hand and you can speak.
We have one answer that came from our students, but maybe the rest may like to write something what they know about user experience, user interface. The answer is actually the extension of UX, UI design, user experience and user interface.
Okay. No one is writing, as I see. Maybe I can start my presentation, and during the presentation you can still write your opinion, and then in the end we can check them and we can compare your thoughts and what you got from my presentation. Okay, I am turning back to my presentation. Okay, first of all, I will introduce myself. I will tell about my educational and professional background, and then I will talk about UX and UI design. Let's start. I'm a multidisciplinary designer who started her career with industrial design and transition into user experience and user interface design. By this time, I gained these skills: research, ideation, sketching, preparing wireframes, mockups, prototypes, and organizing usability tests, presentations, and designing animation. These are the tools I used until today. In general, mostly I use this first tool you see here. It's called Sketch. I use it for my wireframes, my mockups. It's very handy tool for user experience and interface design. And the second yellow one, it's called Zeppelin. It's a collaboration tool. I can deliver my design outputs through this tool. I can deliver them to development team so that they can develop the product. And maybe you are more familiar with this Adobe tools, Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, and Premiere. These are video editing tools. This one, InVision, it's a prototyping tool. Today I use it right now here, as you see here. I use it for my prototypes. And this tool, Jira, is a project management tool. And the red one is a usability testing tool. It's remote usability testing tool. And the last one, Rhinoceros, probably you know what it is as design students. This one is a 3-dimensional modeling tool. But as a UX UI designer, I don't use it anymore because you don't need to use a 3-dimensional tool as a UX UI designer. Here you can see my educational background. I studied at Kadıköy Anatolian High School, and then I started my design education at Bahçeşehir University Industrial Product Design program. During my bachelor degree, I attended Erasmus exchange program and Erasmus internship program. Then, in the scope of Istanbul Technical University master program, I conducted a research study about the interface design of fortune-telling apps in mobile devices. And then I started my professional life at Kilitaşı Design Studio. Here I had a chance to work with Kunter Şekercioğlu. For me, it was like a second school, second university after my graduation, because I could practice whatever I learned at the university with the guidance of Kunter Şekercioğlu and Özüm Özkan. And the second company is Faraday Networks. I started my UX UI design career at Faraday Networks. It was a small startup team. There I could practice various fields of design like web design, mobile app design, or video editing. I practice different things. At the last 3 companies, I had similar roles, and I worked as a UX UI designer. Still, I work at sahibinden.com, but I will give the details in the next slides. So for now, I will jump to my projects. And I will start with my graduation project. Because I can say that this project was very important for me. This project was a milestone in my career path, because I could realize which part of my profession I like most. I was very lucky, to be honest, because my professors allowed me to carry out an experimental process. I think this was the open-mindedness of them, because I know that the general approach, general attitude in the product design education is more restrictive about conducting the graduation project with a company or with a manufacturer. So I was very lucky at that point. So I designed training equipment for disabled swimmers. For the first step, for the research step, I visited swimming training environments and I observed the swimmers. I observed what kind of products they use and what they needed. And I saw that they have already created a few training products by their own means. But those products had many problems. For example, they needed more customizable parts, or they needed more convenient materials, like you see here in the first picture. And then I decided to work on a flipper for an amputee swimmer who has lost below the knee. So I moved with the ideation and sketching process you see here in the second line. After this ideation process, I started to build my mock-up in the third step. In the last step, I also worked with an orthopedist to produce a real prototype to test with the swimmer. And then I tested my final prototype, as you see here, with the swimmer. For this project, my main motivation was testing my design with the user, with real people in the real world, real environment, and designing my product, the final version of my product, according to the feedback I gathered from the user. This was very inspiring for me, and I was really excited in this process. And then after my graduation, I started to work at Kilitaşı, and I started to work on commercial projects. As I said, I learned a lot at Kilitaşı. At this company, I could do freehand drawing, research, three-dimensional modeling, and rendering. And I was feeling that all those skills were precious and important. And I think that feeling this is very important for a fresh graduate, because in some companies, in corporate companies, sometimes you cannot show your potential, you cannot use your all skills, and this might be a little frustrating for a fresh graduate student. I was lucky again. In general, at Kilitaşı, we were following this methodology you see on the left. We were taking these steps in the projects. I used to start the process with a research step, and then I used to analyze the other existing products in the market, which means competitive analysis. And if it is necessary, I used to apply a persona method in order to estimate the user's need and define the design styles. You see here in the first picture as a sample of a persona board. We were building imaginary characters based on their choices, like product choices here, and lifestyle and the other elements surrounding them. And after this phase, this research phase, I used to sketch and select the best ideas for 3D modeling and rendering session. You see a few samples here from the modeling session, and you see the rendered pictures, rendered product pictures. After rendering process, we could present our final design to our client. So the life was basically like this at Kilitaşı. And then I started to work at Faraday Networks. From now on, if I say product, if I use this word product, I mean the digital or software product. Okay, so please, if I say product, imagine a software digital product. Here I worked on a Wi-Fi management and analytics tool. It was a B2B, which means business-to-business software product. Here on the bottom, you see a screen from this product. It's one interface of this product. Basically, this product collects customer data through Wi-Fi network and provides reports, different types of reports to the product owner. Here on the top, you see different report types. And I also work on mobile apps, branding projects, web design, and motion graphic. You see a few samples from my mobile design projects. These first three screens are called as wireframe, and the other ones are called as mockup. And always I work with developers, software engineers in my projects. Another company, Deloitte Consulting Company. In this company, I work on SAP accounting software, which was used by the contract managers. In this project, in the beginning, at first I had a meeting with the contract managers, and together we filled this persona template. I know it's very small, the letters are very small here, you cannot see, but I will tell about the persona template later in the next slide, so it's not a big issue right now. But basically, we talk about the job responsibilities, their daily responsibilities, their main goals, their needs, and their pain points. The main titles were like this. And after this study, I could learn about their daily activities and define their problems and needs. And afterwards, I designed a prototype, as you see on the left bottom. Actually, I didn't design a prototype from scratch because SAP had its own design system already. It means I used different components from this design system, and I rearranged the interface with these components. And I created, as you see here, a few screens and created a prototype. And then I shared this prototype with the contract managers in order to get their feedback and their comments. I also asked them to complete a few tasks on this prototype and leave their comments. For example, you can see here, in the first question, I asked them to review the content of the list and the chart here. And then I said that please let me know if any information should be added in the list or in the chart. So they could leave their comment in this comment box. So that in the end, I could redesign the product according to their comments. And another adventure, IBM team. I work with IBM team, and I provided consulting service for our client who works in the telecommunication sector. Here I work on a cloud storage application, cloud-based storage app. For the research step, here we were collaborating with a research company. it was different from my previous experiences, because as you saw in the previous slides, I was conducting the research by myself, but here in this team, I collaborated with a research company, professional research company. So as designers, we were planning the outline of the interview, and then a research company was finding the participants, conducting the interview and providing a report like you see on the top. We were observer in this process. So that was the difference. Also, you can see here again about my interface and some samples about my interface and interaction design works. Again here, delivering my design files to the developers was one of my main responsibilities. So the process was including these steps. Now, currently I work at sahibinden.com, and the process is basically same. It's not that different than the other companies. Basically, we start with the research, and then we are taking the design part, and then we present it to our managers or the product owners, and then according to their feedback, we redesign it and then delivering to the development. The only difference right now, we have to carry out our research studies remotely. So that's why we use some remote interview usability testing tools. That's the only difference right now. So right now I finished the first part of my presentation. Now I will try to answer what UX and UI design is. Okay, what is user experience design? UX design or user experience design is the concept of my presentation. Why I say this? Because the questions I ask myself before I design my presentation are same or very similar with the questions I ask in the beginning of a UX/UI design process. For this presentation, I ask myself two questions. Who will be the target audience, and how can I make them listen to me, listen to my presentation? For a UX study, my questions would be same, almost same. I would ask who will be the target user, and how can I make them use my product, or how can I make them use the product more efficiently? So it's very similar mindset. And so I prepared a persona template, as you see here, as I'm used to do for any design process. I prepared this persona template. What I did, first imagine a character who represents my target audience. My name of my persona is Mertcan. He's 23 years old student, and this is his statement. He calls himself as a multitasking person because he can play with his phone always, even if he's studying or doing something else, he can, at the same time, he can play with his phone. Of course, it doesn't mean that being multitasking, but okay, new generation can call in this way. And here you can see his daily activities, daily routine activities, and his goals and aspirations. He wants to be successful in his career, for example, and he wants to have business network. He wants to exercise his discipline, and he likes online streaming services. He likes music, technology, and he doesn't like to read a long text or paperwork. So this template helps me to imagine my target user, or thanks to this template, I could anticipate the user's desire and expectation, and your expectation actually from this presentation. So it's very similar. Besides that, I also considered about the interaction. As you see here on the right side, I used vivid colors and one dominant primary button, because I want you to press this button, not the other two buttons here. I don't want you to press the last one. That's why I wrote it very small, thin, and I used a text link button instead of this big primary button. And another thing was my tone, my wording. I wanted to be more friendly, natural. That's why I wrote, let's start. The wording is more friendly here, not formal. I didn't want to be formal or serious. That's why my wording was like this. Another point was about content. I thought about content, and I asked myself, how many menu items should I use? And I thought these 3 items here, you see these 3 icons, would be enough. I can skip the other parts which are not useful for the audience, for you. So I thought that, okay, my professional background, my educational background, and a little information about my skills might be important for you, for my target audience, or for my target user. So my way of thinking was like this. So what is user interface design then? User interface design is the style of my presentation. Again, I want to explain it on my presentation because I think it would be a clear example. For this part, for designing user interface part, I ask myself these 3 questions: which style, which tool, or which medium, what kind of interaction style? These are the questions I ask myself. For my first question, I can say that I wanted to use a lively, playful style rather than formal, serious style. And also, I wanted to use this layout here, this structure, instead of this one, because my content, the text here, you see the content needs more space. I mean, on the horizontal line, it needs more space. So this one, this tile structure wouldn't be sufficient for my design. So the second question is, which tool? I think I found the most efficient tool for my presentation, which was InVision, because I prepared a prototype in the beginning of my presentation. Maybe you realized I prepared a mobile application prototype. So this tool, InVision, was very practical for my presentation. And the last one, what kind of interaction style? I didn't show everything in a mobile screen format. This was a decision about the interaction style because I thought that you would need to see my projects in a wider screen, and a mobile screen wouldn't be enough, wouldn't be sufficient. You couldn't see the details, so it was a decision about the interaction style. Here is my final note. As a UX UI designer, we follow this path, this methodology, and apply several methods under these main titles: research, ideation, design, and test. Sometimes we have to apply these methods alone, but sometimes we have a very strong, great team. It's better, of course, if we have people to collaborate or to apply workshop or brainstorming session. Of course, it's fruitful, more effective if we can apply these methods with the other people, but sometimes we can apply them alone. So basically, these are the skills we need to have as a UX UI designer, and these are the methods we need to apply as a UX UI designer. This is the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for your time.
Öykü, we would like to thank you with joining us and sharing your experiences about UX UI design process. We can ask the audience if they have some questions. They may raise their hands, and they can also write their questions to the chat box so that I will help for the discussions.
Okay, sure. I think they're writing.
Yes.
Maybe Mert Özdemir, as far as I see, he's the first one.
Yes, we can start from that point. Mert Özdemir wrote, although product design and interface design are connected in a way, they may need different work ethics, as I know of. So I would like to know how the transition between product design to interface design happened as a career decision.
Okay, different work ethics. I don't know what he means with different work ethics. Product design.
I mean, it's basically a different job, but connected to each other. So it's like working or like getting the education of a different job and doing a different job. So I was wondering how that transition between those two jobs happened.
Okay. First of all, there are similarities and differences. There are some intersections between product design and interface design. That's why today product designers are hired for this position. Product designers can see the whole picture, big picture. They can think about the whole process. They start with the user needs, observation, research, and then they start to design. And also they are thinking about the production process, manufacturing process. In product design, we are thinking about the manufacturing process, and in user interface design area, this field, we are thinking about, again, how a software designer can develop this. It's almost same. I mean, the outputs are different, but the way of thinking or our approach, our mindset, almost same. So the steps, the main steps are similar, but the outputs are different. I can say this. Of course, the tools we use are different. I think user interface and UX and UI design, digital product design is more agile. You can do something very quickly and you can publish it. Product design is a little, let's say, bulky, slow. Maybe that would be a difference. As a career decision, okay, I want to follow your questions, otherwise I can start to tell something else because it's very wide topic. I don't want to lose my pet right now. So as a career decision, it's not a big decision for my side. I started my career as a product designer, and then I realized a huge demand in the market. And the popularity of this subject was increasing. And decades ago, a few years ago, software engineers or graphic designers were doing this job. Maybe it was called as something else, not as UXUI design. The name is quite new. Still, it's new. I can say that it's new. Maybe we were calling it in a different way, but graphic designers and engineers were doing this job. Now it's understood that it's a product design. Digital product is a product in the end. So right now, product designers are more popular for these positions. Yes, companies want to work with product designers for this job, this area.
Dear Öykü, if you let me, maybe I can also add something to this discussion.
Please, yes, sure.
You shared with us the stages of a UX UI designer carry out the process to realize the end solution. You said that research, ideation, design, and test. this methodology actually almost same in the way that we develop the products. We start with the design research, we go to the field and we execute some researches in order to understand the persona that we want to focus on, because it's very important for a product designer to build the empathy with the target audience, to understand their real needs. This is the core of a successful implementation of product development in industrial design. Then it is necessary to develop ideas that those are intended to work as the prospective solutions for the identified problem, which is all product designers do as a methodology, as a stage of that development or the development of the project. And then by making some evaluations, it is necessary to develop the design. So prototypes are produced and they are tested. Of course, in the product design, it lasts longer because it is necessary to test the prospective prototypes in the way that they fulfill the requirements of what is intended at the beginning of the process. And then it is finalized after those tests are executed. But in the professional field that you are working, the interaction of the people with the interface is very utilitarian. What I mean to say is that they enter to an interface or they use an application for a purpose which is mostly based on a very limited time. For example, if you enter to Trendyol or if you enter to an ATM machine, purpose is very quickly complete your goal. So the arrangement, the design of what is offered to the user is very important, and the methodology that all product designers execute is very applicable to this field of study, because we know the ways of design research methodologies. We know how to build the empathy with the user. We know that they have limited time and they're looking for something really very special. So I don't see that you diverged very far from the product design. You are just using the methodologies that you learned in your undergrad education, and you are applying those methodologies to a new field, newly arised field. So it's not very difficult to understand that it's also a design that requires the decision of the industrial designers, that they got used to, that they get used to know how to apply those methodologies.
Yes, exactly.
This also gives maybe a wider point of view to the question where we received from Mert Özdemir.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
We have also some other questions. Are there a distinct difference between wireframe tools? What is the reason you use Zeppelin and Sketch?
Okay. First, I want to define wireframe and mockup, low fidelity and high fidelity prototype. By the way, everyone can hear me, right?
There is no problem. We can.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Wireframe is like a layout of the product. It looks more white and black, gray colored in these colors. You don't need to think about the style, visual styles, colors, and the details. You don't need to think about this in wireframe stage. but you should think about the flow, user flow, how they start their experience and how will finish their experience. You should think about the whole process and flow. In this part, as a wireframe output, you don't have to deliver a finished product, finished design. For this part, you can use several tools. I use Sketch, but there are many others like XD or Figma. There are many actually. If you Google it as wireframe tools, you can find many. And what is the reason you use Zeppelin? Okay, Zeppelin is a collaboration tool. I finished my design. Okay, sorry, I skipped one part. After wireframe design, I finished my design with the mockup part. Mockup means colored detailed design. Final version of the design, actually. You already know about the dimensions, colors, button types, styles, interaction styles. Actually, in that part, in the end of this part, you know everything about the product. And then if everything is okay, perfect, then you can deliver this output, mock-up output to development team. How you deliver? You can deliver it through a tool. I use Zeppelin for this. It's another interface actually. Zeppelin is another interface. So the designers can upload their files, and developers, software engineers can see their designs, their screens, and they also see some codes, scripts, and colors, dimensions, because they need this information, this data. So it's like a bridge between designers and developers.
There are some other questions in the chat box. What else can focus and learn to be a UX UI designer other than learning the tools?
Focus and learn. Okay. If you want to be a UX designer, you should focus on more research skills. You should acquire more research skills. You should improve your communication skills, how to conduct an interview, for example, or how to prepare a survey questions, how to find the right questions. You should read more, actually, if you want to be a UX designer, because it's more theoretical. I can say that it's more theoretical, and UI design is more practical. For being a UI designer, you should watch tutorials. There are plenty of sources. You can watch tutorials and you can try. Actually, you can take one product, for example, Spotify or Instagram or WhatsApp, and then you can try to redesign it. You can copy in the beginning, of course. In the beginning, you can copy them, and then you can improve your skills in this way. Of course, these are the initial things you can do. And of course, if you want to improve yourself in this sector, in this area, you can study, you can take some master courses, some advanced courses, workshops, and it's better to gain practical experiences. If it's possible, you should work with real teams, for example, startup teams, and you can have an internship in big companies, and there you will see which skills you need actually. Right now it's more complicated because you don't know which part you will like most. By doing this kind of things, experiencing these different fields, you can understand what you like most and what skills you need actually.
Let me read the other questions that came from the same person. Did you learn something about software? Does it have a contribution? What software? I'm not sure. Maybe the software you learned in your undergrad education? Is it like that?
Actually, I was trying to say they want anything about the coding part.
Okay. Nice question. Thank you. I didn't learn anything about coding yet, but I'm planning to learn because it's very essential part, I think. I mean, I don't need to use any coding skill in my projects, but sometimes you need to defend your idea, defend your design. If a developer says something about my design, for example, sometimes they say that we cannot develop this because of some technical restrictions, some limitations. And at this point, sometimes I cannot refuse, I cannot answer because their work is not visible as ours. It's more complicated system, so we cannot make a comment, but everyone can make a comment on our works because it's more visual. So I think it would be useful if you learn coding, but you should be careful about something. You shouldn't limit your creativity. It's like thinking about manufacturing process or manufacturing methods. As a product designer, you should think about the production method. You should design something which is producible, I mean, possible to produce. Otherwise, it stays as a nice picture. It is same. You should design something suitable for development process, but still you shouldn't limit your creativity. That's the thing. That's the important part. Of course, it's better to learn. You should learn if you can, but you should keep the balance between design and the technical parts.
So you mean that just because of being able to produce the product, do not close the creativity gap, gate that the designer can innovate something.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Do you only interpret prototypes by the people you work with, or do you have a chance to get feedback from users?
I didn't get the question. Prototyping?
Do you only interpret prototypes by the people you work with, or
Uh-huh.
do you have a chance to get feedback from the users?
Okay. It's possible to get feedback from the user. If you can share the prototype with the user, it's possible to get feedback. Of course, sometimes we publish online survey. It pops up on the screen when you're searching something on a website. Probably you saw some of them. A survey pop-up is coming on the screen, and then you sometimes skip, sometimes you answer. This is a kind of, this is not prototype, but this is a kind of research in order to get feedback from the user, from the real user. But sometimes we don't want to, companies don't want to share their design or products in the early stage. That's why they don't want to share any screen from the new design. So we behave more conservative at that part. We only share this prototype with our colleagues in the company. And then we interpret the comments together, but still it's worth something precious, because our colleagues also are the user, are our user at some point. So still we can gather a useful feedback, useful insight. So it depends. You can share your prototype with the real user or with your colleagues in the company.
Another question. As far as I can see, UX/UI designers usually work as freelancers. Can you continue to work for a long time in a company after your app or website design journey is finished?
Mm-hmm.
This is about the style of working.
Yes, it depends on your preferences. Of course, you can work in a company forever, and you can have a different career path. You can start as a junior designer, and then you become a senior designer and lead designer. It's another way, and you can always be a freelancer, of course, and you can work with more globally. You can have clients from different countries. It's also another good career path, but it's about your choice. For being a freelancer, I think you need a strong network, good, huge network, and you need to have a portfolio, have strong projects to publish on online platforms. Then you freelance career, I think. Yeah, it depends on your personality and your conditions.
Thank you for all your answers.
Can we use Figma also, since it's free? A question for an application.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, it depends on your software, your device you use. I think Figma works on Mac and Windows, iOS and Windows as well. So, and it's getting more popular because you don't, I think if you use, I haven't used Figma yet. I would like to try because it's getting popular. If you use Figma, you don't need an additional collaboration tool like Zeppelin, because Figma allows you to share your design file directly to the development team. So I think it's more practical tool as it's getting more popular right now in the world. So you can use Figma as well.
And another question, as a BAU ID alumni, which challenges have you had after your graduation? Why did you prefer work on UX design instead of classic industrial design works?
Classic industrial design works. First of all, as I showed in my graduation project, I realized that I would love to work with the real user, with people. I like research part. Of course, I really like the classical product design because I like doing freehand drawings, for example. It was very satisfying for me. But I realized that this profession, UX UI design, is getting more popular, and I saw the demand in the market. The demand for UX UI designers were increasing. Still, it's increasing. And I thought that product designers are the right people for this area, for these positions, UX UI design positions. So I thought that I can be more successful in this area. I like to create two-dimensional visual things as well. I like to communicate with people, with users, and there are many opportunities in this area. What challenges I encountered? I mean, in any area, there are many challenges. In product design area or UX UI design area, both are same. One challenge maybe being flexible. You need to be flexible and adaptable, let's say. You need to adapt new tools, new trends, new technologies all the time. As you see, I learned and used many tools, and now I said that I want to learn coding and I want to learn Figma because Figma is getting popular right now. So the challenge is you have to learn something new all the time. You have to change your habits, and you have to adapt to the new things.
I would like to add something to the as an answer to the question of Özgün Önç. Well, we do not want any one of our graduates to remain only with the talents of a classical product designer. We want them to use all the methodologies that they learn to be transferred to the other areas of the professional studies. So this is actually something that we feel really very proud if we see that our graduates are ambitious to learn the new technologies, new programs and applications, and get adapted to the new conditions of the life. It is our proud, actually. I by myself have a question.
Okay.
The core of your presentation is actually based on how it is important to execute the research, maybe especially the design research to understand the target user. Nowadays, we are in pandemic conditions, and our capabilities of getting the real data from the field is restricted because we are just in front of the screen and we have the communication tools, you know, as we are in the interior spaces. But it's also very important for the designers to go to the field to see the people in their real life conditions, how they get interact with the objects or with the environment and with the other people. How do you see, how can we surpass this limitation in the conditions of pandemic so that we can collect the real data as designers we really need?
I think it's a little more difficult for product design field because in product design field we need to test three-dimensional products with the user. We really test something physical, so we cannot transfer our prototype through a software. It's not possible. Maybe we can collect their, people's ideas, opinion by just showing a picture of our design, but it's not possible to test it with the with the end user. So first, I want to give an answer about my area, UX/UI design area. Right now, it's possible to do a research, conduct a research. It's not that difficult because we use some analytics tools or some tools who are collecting some data like first click, users' first clicks, where the user clicked first on the screen, or what they did on the screen. Every actions they did, we can see with some charts and maps, like heat maps. These tools are showing us their activities on online platforms. We can follow, we can track their online activities. So for digital products, for digital world, it's not a big problem, and we can still share our interfaces, our digital products through some tools like I showed you, like Look Back. We can have a call, we can have a virtual interview with them, so we can talk to them. It's not big difference. It's not a big difference for that side. What can a product designer do right now? I don't know a real an exact solution, but I'm thinking right now, and I would do a desk research first. I would read the blogs, forums, different websites about the subject, and I would search for the reviews, comments, user reviews and comments of this product or this subject. I would watch videos, how they use, let's say right now I have a project about electrical bicycle. I would watch videos on YouTube or anywhere. And then I would observe the people in these videos. Then I could publish an online survey. Maybe that would be another solution. Or I would test my product prototype with my family, with the people around me, anyone actually, because they are also users. I would try to find a solution, but this pandemic situation will be over sooner or later. I don't know. One day it will be over. So we need to be solution oriented right now.
Right. I hope Kaya also Öykü's explanations to my question gave an answer to the question that you sent. Do you think observation of the users is essential for developing an UX design? How can we conduct the observation? How we should evaluate the results of it in order to develop the current user experience? Kaya Swan asked, and I think you already answered it.
Yes, I almost answered.
We have a question from Mehmet Hocam. Do you think if you can skip industrial design education and become a UX UI designer from scratch? Is it possible?
I think it would be very limited. I learned a lot, and I learned a lot from product design education, and I always use whatever I learned from product design education, because in industrial product education we learn different fields. Every term we work on different projects. We work on package design, we work on furniture design or electrical appliances. We had different projects. So it's something very, I mean, powerful. I mean, I gained a lot from these different types of projects, and I gained a flexible mindset through these projects. I think product design education is more comprehensive. I can say it's more comprehensive. It's a bigger area. But I would like to learn as a design student. I wish I could have some interdisciplinary courses with developers, for example, because we were focusing on only more physical, classical way of designing, but right now everything is going more digital and virtual. So I wish I could done some digital projects as well.
Okay, I recorded to someone. I will take this into consideration.
Okay, yes, will be useful for the students for the next generation.
Kaya also asks, do you think we can make a sort of visual poll while developing an UI design in order to detect the future users' reactions to the upcoming design?
What do you mean by poll?
Poll?
Can I speak?
Sure, you can, Kaya.
I mean, it is like in your presentation, you said like I made the button like let's start in a red color in order to because you want the user to actually to continue from that button, right? When we are all making a UI user interface design, like for example, create like a website, maybe like a home page, and I try the various colors to the buttons or the options presented in that website, and just see like in which kind of reactions, like which kind of reactions do the users do, like whether they want to press that button or they ignore it or such things like that. If I could explain.
Okay, but I didn't get the question here very well. So do you ask me how I decided to the types of the buttons, types of the interactions? Or
Yeah, the shape, color, the shape and color, the position, and
okay.
Can we like decide? Can we like maybe present them to, because in polls we aim to gather information from the people, like what do they do, how do they do and such, and like we can present some options, like, and then we can see like, oh, so when we put the red button here, people more people more recognize it, but when we put at the bottom, we notice that they ignore it, like that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, it's very clear right now. Thank you for your explanation.
I'm sorry if I explained it too complicated.
No, it's very clear right now, and it's very good, valid question. There are different methods, different ways to understand this. One of them is A/B testing. For example, if we cannot decide which location is the best for a button, we prepare two different designs, but not completely different. Just we change the location of the button. For example, we in the A version A, we put this button on the top, and in the version B we put this button on the bottom, and then we released both screens. The half of the users see the version A, and the other half see the version B. So then we can collect the statistics, which one is more visible, which one is more clickable, and then we pick the successful one. This is one of the solutions or methods. And the other one, for example, you can use card sorting or tree testing methods. By these methodologies, you can see the mindset, the way of thinking of your user. You can give some titles and some words, some items. You can ask your participant, you can ask the participant to group them, classify, group them. And then you can understand how they group the information. And in your website, on your website, you can use the same classification method. So it would be more familiar with their way of thinking, with their understanding, with their habits. These kind of methods you can apply. I mean, there are a lot of methods, so you should decide according to your need. Also, you can think about, if you think about the colors, I think you already think about colors in product design. For example, if you do something for children, you use more colorful, playful style. In my presentation, I wanted to use more lively, colorful style because I wanted to look more lively, entertaining, friendly. This kind of image I wanted to create. I didn't want to look like a manager, director. I didn't want to use dark colors. These kind of things help you to decide.
Mehmet Hoca sent.
Okay, thank you, by the way. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for question.
To clarify the question that Mehmet Hoca sent, he wrote that, what I mean, do you have colleagues who are UX, UI designers, but not industrial designers?
Do you have colleagues who are UX, but not industrial? Yes. Sorry if I misunderstood your question, Hocam, Mehmet Hocam. Yes, I have colleagues who are UX, UI designers. One of them has studied graphic design, visual communication design, as I know. I have a few colleagues who studied unrelated subjects like philosophy, more social sciences, but they were interested in these visual works, so they changed their major. As I remember, I know, yes, I have a colleague who studied engineering, software, computer engineering, and then right now he works as a UX UI designer. Yes, people from different disciplines are coming this point.
But as far as I understand, with the background that you have as an industrial designer, you feel more skilled and ready to tackle with the problems of UX UI design. This is the case. So good luck for the rest, we say, huh? So we are almost at the end of the time that we are given, but there is only one question remained in the chat box. Özgün Öğüt asked that. Actually, you gave an answer to this question. it is necessary. Our instructors always says you need to know mechanical design and materials to be a more successful industrial designer. What are the main disciplines makes UX designer more successful? And he wrote coding, question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe very quickly, very briefly, you may repeat what you told about that.
Yes. I can give a tip about this question. If you look at the job adverts, job posts, you can see what skills you need. Of course, as you said, coding skill is very important because it's the manufacturing part of our job. If I compare with the product design, this is our production manufacturing part, coding part. And the other part is psychology. You can read about psychology, human psychology, or consumption psychology, this kind of things you can read. Survey techniques, research techniques are also important. And graphic skills, visual skills are important. I can say that maybe color theory is very, very important for UI designers. So if you compare with product design, you can take the coding part as a manufacturing part and the visual part as a material part. And you should also add some communicational, psychological, social skills.
Dear Öykü Eroğlu, thank you very much coming here and sharing with your experiences with us after graduation. I'm sure that what you explained to us really opened a wider viewpoint for our students. And it's our pleasure to be together with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure for me as well. Thank you for invitation again. And I would like to see you again.
I just want to add a sentence. So if it's possible. So yes, there is no question. Okay, this was just a thank you. Dear Öykü Eroğlu, we want to thank you for this very stimulating presentation. It was great pleasure to have you here. So we have a little tradition in ArchiDesign Talks. As the Bahçeşehir University Faculty of Architecture and Design, we donate to TEMA in our guests' names. So now you have 3 young trees in a memorial forest in Elazığ. So thank you very much. And thank you very much for your effort.
Thank you so much. It's very meaningful, mindful gift. I'm very happy that I will be a part of this meaningful activity. Thank you.
Thank you for the great presentation. Thank you, Elçin Hocam, and thank you all the participants
My pleasure.
to support us.
Pleasure.
Okay.
So it's time to say goodbye. We're ending the session.
Okay. Good night. Good evening.
Okay.